and welcome to Mormon Morsels. This is a new channel that I'm starting. So this is basically a channel that I wanted to talk about some LDS gospel things, and make a few treats and stuff like that. I'm so excited. I love fall. I love everything about fall. In Utah, do we get much of the fall? The real fall? No, but you get even less in Vegas, and that's where I grew up, so I'm happy here. My sweaters are happy. Anyways, I want to give a spiritual thought. And today I have a spiritual thought that comes from LDS.org. I'm going to put a link in the description about where I found this. It's really cool. It's a page that has a bunch of spiritual thoughts. If you need one, or if you just want to be uplifted that day. Today's is Jeffrey R. Holland. It's a talk entitled Broken Things to Mend from the April 2006 General Conference. So it's just a little quote from that. If you are lonely, please know you can find comfort. If you are discouraged, please know you can find hope. If you are poor in spirit, please know you can be strengthened. If you feel you are broken, please know you can be mended. So, I chose this spiritual thought because it dealt with a lot of things that I'm going through currently. So, backing up a little, I got my appendix out a few weeks ago, and I found out that I had had appendicitis for 3 years, at least, and and I've been really sick the whole time, and it's caused a lot of trouble. During this time, I got my appendix out, and then I was recovering for a while. It was maybe not even a week. I was let go from my job, mostly because the position wasn't going to exist anymore. It didn't have anything to do with me per se, and it didn't have anything to do with me recovering or anything like that. It was pretty circumstantial. But still, I needed a job. I have loans to pay off from school, and I need to live off of money. That's just a necessity in life, unfortunately. So, anyways, I've been going through a really, really, really hard time. It was really hard, and I was, I have a panic disorder, and I'd been dealing with it really, really well for a really long time, and I hadn't had a panic attack or even any real anxiety for a very long time, and I was really happy about it. But this happened, and I lost perspective, and I forgot how I got to where I was. So basically, how I got from having this extreme mental disorder that was affecting my entire life to barely even thinking much about it anymore, was really through the gospel. And, you have a ton of people telling you, well, you need to go to this therapist and you need to take this medicine. I tried a few things, it just wasn't working, and so I ended up praying about it, and I just can't deal with it anymore. And I was looking for answers, and eventually I got one. And basically the answer was, if you are studying your scriptures and you're praying and you're going to the temple and you're doing all these things, that you'll be blessed with the knowledge of how to get over it. And it's not that it's gone per se, it's still in my head, and it's always gonna be there because it's a mental disorder. It's not something you really can just get rid of. Basically, I learned skills on how to deal with it through learning about the gospel more and how it works and how the atonement works. And I feel like this quote really focuses on how the atonement works. The first part is taking loneliness, and you are comforted from loneliness. And this is a huge part of my journey with my anxiety and my panic attacks and everything is that even when I'm surrounded by people, I felt alone. I felt like no one understood me. I mean, you can't possibly know what that feels like unless you felt it. You know, it sounds crazy. It does. But, I mean, I feel like a lot of people have felt that feeling of just being totally alone. Totally alone. And you can even have people at church telling you, well, you know, you always have God and you always have Jesus Christ, and they understand exactly what you're going through. And they tell me this over and over and over again. But no matter how many times they tell me, until I took the time to see if it was true, they wouldn't do anything. You know, you can be told 1,000,000 times and it won't affect you. But if you actually take the time to figure out if it's true or not, which is also true about the gospel, it doesn't fix everything, you know, you have to work on it, but you just kind of come to this realization that, oh, no, it's true, like, really, I'm never alone, I really am not. That's just a great feeling, especially when you're going through a mental disorder. It just, you know, you're in your head and you feel like you are so alone, even though you really aren't. And then it goes on to say, when you're discouraged, you can find hope. I mean, this did not really apply to me that much until this experience. This wasn't the worst thing I've ever gone through at all. No. But it just was like, I went from such a great place where I knew what I was doing and everything was fine, and just everything seemed to drop and fall and it was gone. And I definitely felt discouraged, like I just done everything wrong. But once you realize what's missing, which was the gospel for me, you find hope. Even if your circumstances don't change, because they didn't for a very long time. They did not change. And I felt like it was a huge test that I was failing, which I didn't fail. I didn't. And the reason why is because I went back to my scriptures and I went back to all of these things and studying and praying and just remembering that that's what's important and that what I'm going through, it doesn't matter. Because God knows what you need to do. And I found that every single situation that you go through, every trial, everything that happens, God has a plan for you. It's been crazy. It's this bad experience happened. Why on earth do I have to go through this? Why? It just, you don't understand when you're going through it. You just don't. I feel like that's why I went back to my place of panic attacks and anxiety and all of this. I had forgotten how I got there. And that's part of why I went through this trial, was because I'd forgotten that I had to go through that and that I hadn't been keeping it up. And I needed to in order to feel better. And it wasn't that, you know, I needed to feel better, not be as sick, and I needed to have a job again. That's not what I needed. It's what happened so that I could come back to the gospel. And not that I, you know, strayed away or anything. I still went to church. I still believed. And, you know, I had a knowledge that it was all true. But I was not actively engaging with the gospel. And that is so important. If you want to be happy, this is it. This is how you do it. Because if you have that, no matter your circumstance, no matter what happens, you have that, and that's the most important thing, and you will still be happy. That's just how it is. You could go through the worst trial of your life, and if you're still living the gospel the way you're supposed to be living it, you will be okay. I mean, yeah, you're gonna go through crap, and it's gonna be awful. I'm not saying that it's going to take away the pain, but you're going to get through it, and you're going to be blessed for it. That's the best part. The next part is, if you are poor in spirit, then you will be strengthened. This is one that I think applies more to an everyday situation for me. It can be interpreted a few ways, but I'm going to take it this way. If I am poor in spirit, or I'll take it in a way of just sad about something, just not happy about it, or if something goes wrong and you just, you feel bad about it. And it doesn't have to be a long, horrible trial or anything. Just like, oh, that really made my day bad, or this thing just is making me really, really sad right now. That's the way I'm taking this one. Just because all of these points are a little similar, so I'm going to take this one this way. So I just found that anytime this happens to me, which it happens a lot in life, and especially in this world today, there is a lot of things that can make you sad. Just really, really sad and really upset, and you don't understand why it's happening. The way to get strengthened is understanding why it's happening, and not as hard as it sounds. You just go back to God and the gospel and why trials happen. I mean, if you just study it, just go and read your scriptures. In my opinion, it doesn't matter where you're reading, just read it. If you want a specific answer, definitely study that. That's not what I'm saying. But if you are poor in spirit, reading your scriptures and praying about it will always make you feel better. Will always strengthen you. Anyways, you could take that a ton of different ways. I took a slightly smaller, less big deal kind of way, but the next thing is, if you're broken, you will be mended. Oh, I cannot talk about this enough. When you're going through anything like a mental disorder, or if you have a physical ailment, anything like that, you feel broken. I mean, with my mental disorder, I just feel broken completely, and that I need to be fixed. And it's true. That's how I feel. And you have a lot of people say, "Oh, you're not broken. You don't need to be fixed." That's the wrong way to think about yourself. I don't think it's a wrong way to think about it. Because if I feel like I need to be fixed, I'm going to find the way to fix myself. And maybe I'm more determined than some people about that, but that's the way I think about it. And the only way that I could truly fix myself was the gospel and studying the scriptures. That was the only thing that helped. I got priesthood blessings from my husband. A lot. Don't be scared of that. That is a blessing. Even if you don't have a priesthood holder in your house, there are tons of worthy priesthood holders that will come to your house and give you a blessing. And they're very willing, and they love to help you and serve you. And it's beautiful, and I love having it in my own home. It's very nice. But, I mean, sometimes when I'm sick and he's giving me a blessing, we have to have someone else come over, and we usually will call the bishop, or we'll call the elders quorum president. It's just a wonderful blessing to have. So that was one of the ways, and definitely studying the scriptures. I cannot say this enough in this video. You're probably going to go, okay, studying the scriptures, I get it. I don't think people quite understand what it does. I mean, a lot of people, I think, are thinking about this like, oh, well, it's just, studying and reading these stories. And that's not what it is. It's studying the gospel. It's helping you. And God knows that, and He blesses you. It's beautiful. And definitely one of the biggest things to help me mend when I was broken is praying. So much praying. And you can't be scared of it. A lot of the times I didn't feel worthy enough to talk to God. And you have to get past that. You have to get past that. Because you always are. You always are, regardless. You can always talk to God. Always. And He's always there. He's always listening. It's so important. So, all of these things are coinciding with Jesus Christ and the atonement. That's what makes this possible. That's what makes it possible to go from complete loneliness to having all the comfort in the world you could ever ask for. That's how you go from discouraged to having hope, being filled with hope. That's how you go from being poor in spirit to strengthened, broken to mended. And it's so possible. It's right in your grip. It's right there. You just have to make the choice to do it, and you'll be blessed. And it's beautiful. And I am not here to tell you that you do it once, you're good. That is probably the worst thing you could do. With this experience that I just had, I realized that you have to do this constantly, or it will all go away. And you might even be worse off. This quote is everything to me right now. And this is how I interpret it, that it is talking about the atonement and what it can do for you and how to use it. That is all I have to say for my spiritual thought today. Thank you so much for joining in. All right, bye guys.